Well, I almost said good morning, but it's noon, so good noon. Welcome to Integrated Preparedness. How are you all today? I want to ask you a question. I remember when Rush used to say that. I want to ask you a question. Yes, I know what that comes from. What kind of future are you preparing for? Kelly and I were, grab yourself. Guess this is going to be a deep subject, an important one. So grab yourself some, whatever you drink out of your Stone Mott mugs. And this one, I should say, I said yesterday, but I want to remind everybody, we stopped allowing people to order these for a little while because we were so far behind in shipping out, but we're almost caught up, so you can order these ones. These ones, I have a problem when people say these ones. You can order these again because we'll be caught up with the order fulfillment I see in about either tomorrow or the next day. So now we're letting people order these again. These are probably the top seller we've ever had. Shot placement is everything. It shows you the effective rounds there, and your partner sitting across the table get to see it too. Just got a text from a friend of mine showing me he had gotten his, and he was sitting down with his wife for lunch, and he says everything tastes better out of these mugs, and he's right. So you can get these again. Go to our website, stonemont.us. That link is down below, and get you some. You can order either. This is the first one that we put out and available in a 4-pack too. You can get all the mugs individually, but we put out a special on this, a 4-pack for only $80, and we pay for the shipping and the handling and the everything else. $80, you'll get 4 of these, and you'll love them. So that did I say the website is down below, stonemont.us. Now let me get to the question today. What kind of future are you preparing for? I was sitting in the family room this morning. It's raining. It's got a storm. It's just the kind of day that I like. It's Saturday, and you need a relaxing rainy day every now and then. And I was sitting there typing on my phone, on this phone that I'm talking to you on right now, writing. That's how I write. And I'm currently writing the Modern Mob Organized Crime book. And and Kelly came down, and she says, Do you know what XAI is? So I was mentally trying to make it into a word, right? Psy, how all these people are, have funny names nowadays, Yee and all these things. I said, no. She says, well, it's some kind of, I says, is something AI? Is it Musk's AI or something like that? She says, well, it's a token or something. I said, well, send it to me, and I'll watch the video. She was watching a video. So she did. And I watched the video, and I understood absolutely nothing that was said. I understood every word because every word was an English word, but they were used in ways and put together in ways that it totally bypassed my ability to understand it. And obviously, it's going to change the future. It's going to change the world. The guy obviously was very intelligent. He apparently understood what he was talking about. Wasn't able to dumb it down enough for me, but it's apparently some kind of digital currency that I don't know. Is it like Ethereum or Bitcoin or something like that? They says is going to change the world, change the future. Now, I won't say that I'm a technophobe. I find technology fascinating. I don't have the scientific background to understand it, and I kind of regret that because I didn't become interested in science until I was in my 40s. And then I started reading some Stephen Hawking stuff and, brief history of time. And then I wish that I had paid more attention to science before that, but my life went other directions because I really, I don't have the foundational understanding, And I read a book way back in, was it the 80s or the early 90s? I don't remember. It was called The Great Mambo Chicken and the Transhuman Condition, something like that. And it was weird, man. It was weird at the time about downloading personalities into computers. And I said, wow, this is great. And about nanotechnology. And nobody was talking about it at the time. But I found it just fascinating. And it's exactly what they're doing now. Okay. We have to take a real hard look at. And so as I was discussing with Kelly, I said, I don't think I don't really want to live in a world like that. But unless everything falls apart, I much prefer the Stonemont world, right? For those of you who have read my books, the Stonemont series, I much prefer that world. I would be fine with everything falling apart and just being able to live the way I want to live. I pretty much live the way I want to live right now, to be honest, but because I keep myself divorced from the drama and the problems of the world, but I keep track of it because I need to, you need to be able to protect yourself against it. While I would prefer that, if everything doesn't fall apart, this is the direction the world is going. We are going to live in a continually evolving and improving, if you consider it improvement, world of technological advancement. And again, some people will argue that it's not necessarily advancement. I understand. Development. Let's call it development. May I throw in here? Now I'm gonna post this video that I watched on the Patreon channel. And may I ask the guys on the Patreon channel, because I think we've got a couple over there who might be able to explain it to me. Mike Hoskins and Hondo Bob, I eagerly await your instruction. And there's probably a couple of other people. We have some super sharp people on the Patreon channel. Somebody asked me, I says, Steve, you keep talking about join us on the Patreon channel. How do I do that? Well, the link is right down below in the information box. Join us. It's a super community. We have some super smart people over there. We have some super smart people on the YouTube, which makes me wonder, why aren't you with us on the Patreon channel? But I'm looking forward to that because I know that the explanations that I get on the Patreon channel come from a background of knowledge. And to be honest, we get some kind of off-the-wall stuff on the YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm looking forward to hopefully you all can explain to me what in the world this means. Because like I say, if everything doesn't fall apart, this is the direction the world is heading in. And we can't just ignore it. You can't ignore that. While I would prefer to, like I said to Kelly, well, the world's going to be like this. I don't, I won't understand it. But as long as they are continue to process my payouts from my book sales through Amazon and all these other kind of things, I'm fine just being able to turn on my phone, record a message, type my books out on my phone, put it out there, and let Amazon handle all of the rest. But is it going to remain that simple? I don't know. And if it's not going to remain that simple, we need to understand, I need to understand, you need to understand a little bit more about the development of technology if we're going to be able to operate successfully in that world. Does that make sense? A lot of people are going to resist that. I understand that. A lot of people in the preparedness community, if it is a community, they don't want to deal with those kinds of complexities. And I fully understand that because I don't either. But just because we don't want to doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Remember also what Rush used to say. He said that people would, when the automobile came about, there will always be people who are resistant to change, right? Always be people who are resistant to technological development. And so when they came out with the first horseless carriages, the first motor cars, the first internal combustion engines and all that, You had all those people back there and say, oh, it'll never work. Kind of like people talking about EVs now. That'll never work. You'll never get me off my horse. You know, a horse can go on hay and water, and those things will never go. They can't go that far on gas, and they'll blow up, and they're horrible, and they're from the devil, and they're this, and they're never going to work. And look what we have now, right? And then he also said that, you know, he pointed out, while it put everybody, people hated it because it put people out of business in the buggy whip industry, right? You didn't need a buggy whip if you didn't have a horse pulling your horseless carriage. But how many more jobs did it create in the future? So all those things are important things to keep in mind. Now, while I would prefer, much like most of you, I think, I would prefer to live a much more simplistic life. And well, like my books, right? Those of you who have read them, you want to relax. You want something to take you out of the idiocy of this world. If you haven't read these books, you ought to. Those who have read them know. And I want to say also, because I forgot to say this, these are also now available again through our website. We were just, like I said, we were snowed under with orders. I stopped talking about them for a couple of weeks because I didn't want to keep taking orders when I hadn't, you know, fulfilled all of the back orders on them. But now we're caught up, and we have a new load coming in, and now you can order these again on our website. And there is a special on these as well. You can order the whole set. Now you can get them on Amazon, and you can get them in paperback or Kindle or Audible, and they get them to you fast. Or you can get them directly from me, and that's the way I prefer it, because then I get to sign them for you and write a little note in there for you and everything like that. And we have a special, and I don't have the 7th one here, but it's a whole series of novels. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and then the 7th one that I don't have right here, and that is On Wings Like Eagles. And you can buy them individually, and make sure you read them in order, because it's one long story. Okay. And we have a special that if you buy the whole set, we also throw in, and I'm out of them too, so I can't show them to you, the Stonemont Notebook for a nice discount. And you get a free Stonemont Notebook. So you can order these again through our website, stonemont.us. The reason I got into that is because I was talking about a simpler life, which I would definitely prefer. I would prefer a much, a world like Stonemont, what I write about. But while we may prefer that, it's not necessarily going to be in our hands. And if we aren't prepared to live in an ever-evolving, ever-developing technological world, we're going to find ourselves in a problem. And I know there will be some out there that say, well, I don't want to live in a world like that. And, you know, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. You know, if you don't, I get it, but you don't like change. But are you living a good life now? Are you living a pretty good life? Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy your children, your grandchildren, your friends, your family, your church, all that? Well, would you prefer not to be here because this is more technologically advanced than it was 100 years ago, even 50 years ago? Remember, there's this, back in the 1850s, I have read that there was a statement made at the U.S. Patent Office. Now, I can't swear to the veracity of this, but it's a story that I've read and heard and all this. They say that somebody in the U.S. Patent Office in the 1850s said everything essentially has now been invented. Everything that can be invented has now been invented. From here on out, it's just an improvement on existing things. Okay? Well, wrong. I don't think we have any idea what the world's going to be like in 20 years. I mean, in 100 years. You know, I'm still waiting for the flying cars. I'm really looking forward to that. But what's it going to be like in 100 years? You're not going to be here. I'm not going to be here. But our grandkids going to be here. What's it going to be like for them? Even 20 years. You know, when I was back publishing my martial arts magazine in the 90s, I started that. Well, I started my first monthly magazine in the 80s. I did it with a typewriter and posting up on what was called blue line, broadsheet blue line, and taking it to a printer. And like I say, I still, I'm fairly limited in what I do technologically, but the world has moved on. And if I haven't moved on at least enough to keep up with the basics of it, I would be out of luck. I wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't be able to talk to you all. I wouldn't have been able to write and publish my books. Oh, I know. Victor Hugo published his books, before there was computer. I get it. I know. How nice it is to be able to call somebody on the telephone, though, right? And there were people back then that said that was the work of the devil. Anyway, that was my question here, is that true preparedness, well, I'm putting the cart before the horse here. Let me give the answer here, and then I'll pose the question. True preparedness is preparing to be able to function well, like we always say, live well, in whatever happens in the world. But too many people in the preparedness world assume that's going to be a collapse of everything and going back to live in the 1850s. And that may not be what happens. So if you're not, because the other is it's going to continue to develop, with more technological complexity. And if we're not prepared to be able to function in that world, are we truly preparedness-minded people? And I would say, no, we're not. We are essentially regressionists. We prefer to regress to an earlier way, an earlier time, a simpler time. Now you can say, well, the Amish do fairly well. Yeah, they do all right. Kelly said, well, I think you do pretty well in the Amish community. I said, I don't think that I would. I don't think that I would. I enjoy running down, being able to run to Walmart and Quick Trip, and I see them at the Walmart. It's not like they make everything, right? They don't. I think people have kind of a slanted, they have a quieter life. They have a life in which they attempt to keep the outside world from affecting them, but they rely on the outside world a lot. And those of you who know them know that, right? So it's not like we're going to be able to completely keep ourselves separated from it. We can to the extent that we want to. I do to a great extent here. But as the world becomes more complex, we're going to have to even up our game to keep in it. I jokingly say I have to ask Kelly or the kids how to turn on my TV. But, I'd be in a sorry state if they weren't here, right? I'd actually have to learn how to do it myself. So I'm telling on myself here. Anyway, it was a big question, and I'm going to be interested in hearing your response. I know what a lot of the responses are. I don't want to live in a world like that. Okay, fine, then don't. I'm more interested in hearing the responses from the thinkers. From the thinkers saying, yeah, I think maybe I should learn more. Here's what I'm trying to do. Nobody cracks on you for trying to learn another language. Well, some do, I speak English and I don't, well, okay. But think about that. Are you really prepared for whatever comes? Or only if certain things that you're preparing for happen? And that's not really the definition of preparedness, okay? Okay, you all, hey, I'm looking forward. You guys over there on Patreon, I can't wait to hear. Would you explain crypto to me? I have asked a whole lot of people to explain crypto to me, and I've had most people say no. Some people say, yeah, I can. And then when they start, they sound pretty good until I start asking questions, and it doesn't take long for them to go, well, I don't really know about that. Okay, so it's one of those things that a lot of people think they understand things they don't, right? And they're just taking it on faith. Like, explain crypto mining. And I get the basics of. Anyway, I'm rambling now, but I'm following. I'm not rambling. I'm following the mind rabbit that's up there running around. Let me know. You guys on Patreon, watch this video that I will have already put up by the time I put this up, and then see if you can explain it to me, because I really do want to understand. I want to be able to function well in the future, no matter what that future is, because my future is really in the good Lord above, my family, my friends, and that's it. And if they're going to be here, I want to be able to do well, right? Okay. All right. You all have a good day. Remember, you can order these again. Get on there and get some. You'll want the sets because, you want to give them to friends, or you want to have them when friends come over. And, hey, everybody, they're going to be blown away. You got some buddies over to have coffee or whatever you drink out of these things, and you bring it out on this, and, man, they're going to go, where did you get that? So you can get them again. All right. You all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, regardless of what kind of tomorrow that tomorrow is, right? Okay, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.